Welcome back to On Texas Football's Tuesday night Longhorn Livestream presented by Andy Ludicky. I'm your host, Amanda Atwell, joined with CJ Vogel and Jeff Howe. Pop any questions into the chat. I'm sure we got a lot. Not the most positive vibes in the chat already. How are you guys feeling, CJ and Jeff? I feel like I have an inclination already.
I'm feeling incomplete.
Like
maybe that's just a hangover from Saturday, but something's missing.
If I can stop coughing, I'd be a lot better. But other than that, I'm good.
I feel like incomplete is a good explanation of how to describe this Texas team right now. The incompletions with the just incomplete feel of the entire offense, which we will get to. We'll also get to Steve Sarkisian's press conference yesterday, which he discussed some of these things, and he seemed to be in a much more positive headspace than I feel like most of the fans are in right now. But first of all, he commented on this passing game, which I feel like was the talk of the game. Arch had 10 straight incompletions at one point. It was not looking pretty. To me, it looked like, watching from home, it looked like a regression from what we saw at San Jose State. But Sark is pretty optimistic that it's going to get in place, and he thinks they are so close.
You know, we missed a few things in the passing game, and it was like we're so close. And part of me is really excited about that because I know how close we are to this thing hitting on all cylinders. But that's our job as coaches and as players to get us to that point. And I believe we will. We've done it before, and we'll do it again.
How close do you actually think they are to getting this connection?
Oh, man. I'd go a number of ways. But look, I did feel like Texas has been using 12 personnel more. Obviously, with injuries to Emmett Mosley, injuries to DeAndre Moore, you weren't at 100%, obviously, at playmaker, at wide receiver. So the number sits around 37% over the last 2 weeks in 12 personnel. Does that necessarily put you in the best situations to complete passes down the field? Maybe, maybe not. Obviously, it helps when your quarterback can get those passes where they need to go in a timely fashion. But on top of that, I want to say Texas is close, but until I see it happen, I'm going to say that they're probably not. And that's, again, why I've kind of pushed for Texas to utilize Arch a little differently, right? Use some of that read option ability with his legs. Use that zone run. QB power if you need to, and just go bam, bam, Sam with Arch. And look, you're probably going to need to do that against a Florida and Oklahoma because, again, those are better athletes. They're stickier in coverage. You're not going to have the windows to throw to. But I want to say they're close, Jeff. I don't believe it is where I'm sitting right now.
Right. Here's my thing, and I wrote some of this over on TexasFootball.com today. So anybody that's read my piece over there, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but this to me is kind of the best 30,000-foot view of the offense I can give right now. Number one, Arch isn't playing very well right now. Like, we know that. Number two, I go back to, and this is part of what I wrote in the piece, in talking about Arch yesterday. Sark mentioned that, hey, playing quarterback is hard enough, like, without him beating himself up. So I went back to a quote that I found from Sark. This was after the August 5th practice. It was a post-practice availability. And I won't reread the quote verbatim, but basically saying the offense, after a couple of days in pads, was already having an issue with basically moving on to the next play, being really hard on themselves, trying to be perfect. And when it doesn't go perfect, everybody's getting down. So part of me wants to think, is this some maybe psychological issue that's gone on since camp that they're still trying to get a feel for, like, how to figure it out? I think the third thing there is, this is a time where you want leadership on, you need leadership on offense to step up. The problem there is Arch isn't playing very well. DJ Campbell's not playing very well. Cole Hudson's trying to work back from an injury to get ready to play on Saturday. Parker Livingston doesn't have enough skins on the wall yet. Jack Indries is new at Texas. DeAndre Moore's out. Quintravion Wisener's out. CJ Baxter's out. So basically, all of your best leaders on offense are either not playing well or they're out injured. So that's when you need leaders to step up, and it's not stepping up. So I think all of this, it's all compounding on top of each other. And everywhere so far Sark has looked for an answer, He talked about it on Monday. Like, they tried to lean on the run game and they couldn't. Like, this offense right now it's just not built to win like a bully ball style of football. So to answer the question, Amanda, they can get closer to where they want to be if Sark takes a good long look in the mirror at these 3 games, picks out some things here and there that have worked well, and just kind of rides with those. And they hone in on those and develop those and evolve those. Like CJ said, it's going to be quarterback run game. It's going to be, you've got to find the couple of passing steps. Like, Sark has to figure out what gets Arch in a rhythm. And at the same time, bottom line, Arch has to play better. I don't think there's any question about that. And I think that's the distressing part about Saturday is, the Ohio State game was what it was. And then we saw Arch make some improvements. And then, like, just, I know improvement isn't linear, but the bottom just completely fell out on Saturday. Like, that's about as bad of a Texas quarterback performance as I've seen in a very long time. And consider the opponent too. Like, it wasn't great. So I just feel like at the end of the day, Amanda, I don't know if you agree with me or not. I just think on Saturday, this offense just needs something positive to happen. Several positive things to happen that they can build up just so they can get some confidence and start to build on that. So I'm not thinking about the ceiling for this offense. I'm not thinking about what it can be in SEC play. I'm just saying, hey, can you come out of Saturday feeling like we've got a couple things we can go with?
I think I'm pretty aligned there of just like, I feel like the biggest thing that I'm concerned about right now is you really don't see that big playmaker yet. I mean, you saw a little bit of Livingston against San Jose State, but then where was he this weekend? There's not that one standout guy yet. And I did myself the disservice of watching back the Mississippi State highlights from last year. And it just made me even more confused about this entire situation because it almost seems like there's a completely different demeanor that Arch has. It's a completely different candor when he's on the field almost. I'm not a quarterback analyst as far as throwing motions and all of that goes. I don't know how different it really looks from last year, but there's a lot of other aspects of how he's playing that just look completely different to me. And that's concerning. So I agree with you. What he does need is confidence. But my concern going into this Saturday is he going to get that confidence without all of who will likely be his top playmakers on the field? Because that's who you're going to need to develop the relationship with on the field. And I love this question from Alan. Can I play QB? I do have 2 years left of eligibility, but I did just have a 4th knee surgery. So I go with, I think Arch is the better choice for the QB situation. I was pretty good at powderpuff though. So I was quarterback in powderpuff. But
I was powderpuff coach, believe it or not.
There you go. I actually got kicked out of powderpuff twice.
How did you get kicked out of a powderpuff?
Because it's flag football and I played soccer. So I was used to being able to hit people a little more. And you're not supposed to hit people.
Man is out there body checking people on the.
It's also why I couldn't play basketball because I would just foul out of every single game. Yeah. So, that's just the kind of soccer player I was. I never got a red card though. I knew how to do it strategically. So, but anyways.
Go ahead, CJ.
I was just thinking back to my own coaching powderpuff days, but I wanted to get into the mind of Sark as a result. Like, how would I use the weapons if I was Sark that we've seen so far? And I think the answer is simple. You do have a big playmaker right now. You do. He's the only one on the team, in fact, that I'm aware of, and it's Parker Livingston. Throw him the ball. He had 3 targets on Saturday. He had 2 receptions. 3 targets. Your team stinks through the air. You've had one guy through 2 weeks show you that he can make plays. Why is he not getting more looks? He was a go-to guy on 4th down when Arch sailed him in the end zone on a 2-man route. He was the go-to guy when on the other 4th down. Never Arch didn't pull the trigger, reverse field, and then threw the interception. So I appreciate that from Steve Sarkisian. But you got to basically grab the face mask of your quarterback and say, dude, I'm calling these plays. Give the ball to your playmaker. And here's the deal. When it comes to wide receiver, Brian Wingo has 23 targets. He has 9 receptions. Parker Livingston has 12 targets, 8 receptions. Jack Injuries has 10 targets, 7 receptions. You're hovering at 68, 69% between the two of those combined, Livingston and Injuries. You're sitting at 39% with Wingo. Stop forcing it. If the connection's not there, stop forcing it. Because the more you sit there and you kind of roll around on that fourth down, you say, okay, now's the time that I get the ball to Ryan Wingo, the more obviously you sit back and say, well, it didn't fail. Now we're sitting there, building a hill that we'll never climb because of the inaccuracies or whatnot. They're just forcing it. What comes natural is the guy down the field making plays against Ohio State, the guy that's mossed 3 different San Jose State guys vertically down the field, creating explosive plays, in which who else in this passing game has been able to do that? So look, if you're going into SEC play still trying to force the ball to Ryan Wingo, you're going to lose football games. It will come. I hope it will come. But with the way that this offense is clicking right now, it leads me no confidence to think that it's coming soon. So I'm pivoting. I'm saying, Jack Injuries, you're becoming more of a factor here. Parker Livingston, you're probably going to be my number 1. Oh, and fortunately for Texas, they should get DeAndre Moore back this weekend as well. That should help alleviate that forceful fed of the football to Ryan Wingo because, Matthew, I don't know if you can look up the definition of insanity. I don't know if I need to regurgitate it to everybody here, but the more that you do something.
If anyone pulls up a Tom Herman clip, I'm going to be very upset.
I was close, but come on, guys. We're walking into the same glass door over and over and over, wondering why the hell I can't get to the other side. And for me, the answer is very simple. Read right target.
Marco, you're wilding out in the chat. I can't read that on the screen. I can't read that out loud and we can't post it, but yes, I see it. No, this offense right now, and I just try to I've seen a lot of Texas football. I've seen good Texas football. I've seen mediocre Texas football, and I've seen bad Texas football. I've seen it all in between. And this offense kind of reminds me of the 2022 offense a little bit. When it was Quinn, Quinn's first year, and you had some weapons, but you guys remember they tried really hard to force the Quinn to Xavier Worthy combo, and literally X played the last 4 or 5 games of the year with a broken hand. It just didn't work, and you were doing it, you were force feeding him to your detriment. The difference though with that offense and this offense is Sark got to the point in games where he was like, you know what? We're not throwing the football. Screw it. Throwing the game plan out. We're just going to give it to Bijan and Roshan, and we're just going to let them carry us home. You don't have that luxury now. And that's no disrespect to any of the backs on the roster. I can't say that any of the backs on the roster are surefire NFL draft picks, let alone a first-round draft pick and a Doak Walker Award winner. So that's the difference. But yeah, no, CJ, I'm with you. You've got to just let it happen organically. And the problem with the passing game is, again, it's multi-layered. There are times where the play design is executed the way it's supposed to be, and the throw's not there. Or it's executed the way it's supposed to be, and the pass protection breaks down. Or the protection's there, and Arch has time, but the receivers aren't getting open. So it's a multi-layered thing that they've got to get fixed. What's really weird though is even though they had the big miss on Saturday, if you look at the part of the field where Arch is the best, it's throwing the deep ball. So I don't know. I don't know if you need to if that script, CJ, if within the first 3 to 5 plays, one of them needs to be a shot down the field.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And look, here's the deal for quarterbacks that are struggling. The easiest throw for a bad quarterback is the one where you don't really need to think. You just put a lot of air underneath the football and your wide receiver makes you right. And that's on go routes. That's on post routes. We haven't seen that, right? And I don't know necessarily, at least not as much as I would have anticipated coming into the year, right? Arch is 7 of 15 on passes, 20 yards down the field or more. That's pretty good, right? Quinn was below average. He sat in the mid 30s, right? High 30s. Arch sitting right around 500 or 50%. That's an improvement. And for my money's worth, you should be able to run right by Sam Houston State, whether or not you have your full weaponry of wide receivers or not. You said Parker Livingston, go deep. Ryan Wingo, go deep. Why didn't we see that against UTEP? I don't know.
All right. Well, a lot of fans are thinking it's just about time to hit the panic button, but we'll get to that in just a second, right after we hear from our partners over at myperfectfranchise.net. Are you looking to diversify or new ways to make money? Andy Ludicky at myperfectfranchise.net can help you do just that by finding you businesses that will fit your time allotment and financial goals. Call him or email him to learn more. He's got a really cool process that identifies a perfect fit for you. Email him now at Andy at myperfectfranchise.net. So our friend Rod Babers tweeted this earlier today about, is it time to hit the panic button? And I think you will 100% know if it's time to hit the panic button after Sam Houston State, just based on the biggest thing that Texas seems to need to figure out right now, despite the run game not looking that great either, is this passing game. And this is how Sam Houston State ranks passing: 133rd in pass defense, 113th in pass efficiency defense, 115th in completion percentage allowed, 131st in passing touchdowns allowed, 119th or worse in 10, 20, and 30 and 40-yard completions allowed. So I would say if Arch cannot hit a receiver in this game, I will completely validate the crash outs on social media, which, I mean, I was kind of one of those crashing out on social media this weekend, forgive me, but I was booing from Dallas this weekend.
We heard it. We heard it at the stadium, but no, come on. Jeff and I should be able to walk out there and line up and catch some passes this weekend, right? So I'm excited again, and it feels weird, and I don't think I'm expecting a 400-yard day from Arch. I don't know how anybody could after the first 3 weeks, but I do think this is an opportunity again. And I hate that I'm saying the same magic words from a week ago.
Excited last week too, so maybe be less excited.
I know it, but this should be an opportunity to right the train, if you will, right? You get back on track for Texas through the passing game. You should be throwing on air. And Arch apparently in practice does that very well. So what can you do against the Sam Houston State here that carries on that practice habit into game and get that confidence going? Because, man, I'm with you, right? Seeing the swagger that he had a year ago, that plays into the performance on the field that we see from quarterbacks. We talk about it all the time. And I don't want to go this route, so I'll just pick a different Oklahoma quarterback. Baker Mayfield, a guy that played very emotional.
God, he loves his OU quarterbacks, doesn't he?
I know the chat's going to grill me, but like Sam Ehlinger, very much another guy that was a very emotional player, and I think his team fed off of that. When Arch was on the field for those, 3 games a year ago and he came in against Texas A&M, you can't tell me that didn't have an impact. When he gets up after his 1 or 2 snaps, looks over at the sideline and says, yeah, I'm him, probably with some expletives, right? As he should. And that's been completely absent so far in 2025. And I think, again, part of me wonders what would this offense look like if Texas started with the Sam Houston State rather than in Ohio State. It's not an excuse, but I do think part of him is broken as a result of not having that success offensively in Columbus. So it's interesting, but this has to be a day in which Texas goes out there, puts up points, and then for the bye week afterward to follow around saying, okay, we're in the right groove right now. It's got to be part of it.
Yeah, I think there has to be some layer of confidence that you get out of this weekend, because, you can't go into a bye week on feeling like you do after this UTEP game and expect to be successful walking into Red River, despite, there's always something about being the underdog in that game that gives you a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, but I don't trust it if this looks like it did against UTEP.
That will be the most positive thing I could see on Saturday, would be for Arch if we see that guy. Not just in terms of the numbers. And Amanda, I know you've got some numbers to go over, just kind of what Arch did in that 3-game stretch last year. The UTSA game where he played 3 quarters of it, and then the 2 starts. I want to see
it's kind of mind-boggling, because people say, oh, well, those are bad teams. Well, these are bad tems that he's playing against, and the numbers look nothing like this. And I can go through those really quickly. So UTSA, when he came in for Quinn, 9 for 12 passing, 223 yards passing, and 4 touchdowns coming in for behind Quinn. ULM, which was his first game starting, was 15 for 29 passing, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So a little bit of growing pains there, but still it was an easy victory. We didn't feel terrible after it. And then Mississippi State is the one that's it was Texas's first SEC game. He led Texas through, which, I mean, Mississippi State was Mississippi State, but 26 for 31 passing, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's the kind of game you should be having against these teams that are incrementally less talented than you. And that is the one where just look up just Arch Manning's highlights from that game on YouTube, watch it, and you will be so confused because it looks like a different person's walking onto the field. When you're walking onto a field and you're at home and you're playing a game that you know you're supposed to win, there should be no reason why you shouldn't be as confident as everything. I mean, Ohio State, I can understand. But at the same time, where's that swagger that we saw at Kyle Field when you're at Ohio State? At Kyle Field at night, for one. I feel like that was even a bigger environment than Ohio State, arguably. So that's the biggest thing that confuses me here. And I'll let you get back to what you're saying, Jeff.
Hefty Taco, I'm with you. The arts that showed up at the cookout, that's the kind of arts I need to see on the field on Saturday. No, it's just he's got to find that confidence. He's got to find that, and that's a deal where he and Sark need to have some synergy. And look, whether we like it or not, like, this is still play caller getting used to quarterback and figuring out, okay, what throws are going to get him in a rhythm, or what's going to get him, off to a good start. What's going to get him, feeling good about himself. Maybe it is the run game. And I said it before, I'll say it again. Sark said, hey, he's said many times, hey, we don't major in the quarterback run game. Well, for this semester, you might need to change your major. Like it may be time. And the other thing, and look, I'm at the point with Sark's decision on whether to take the points or go for it on 4th down. I'm at where I was with David Pierce's base running. Like, I know he's going to be overly aggressive. I know he's going to do it. So there's no point in being upset about it or trying to figure it out or even second guess the coach because he's got his mind made up. That's what he's going to do. But I do think for this team, like, Sark may need to change that approach. Like, yeah, it may be better, especially since you went to the portal and got a really good kicker. You may need to take the 3 and not put. So that's the other thing too that we haven't mentioned that I want to make sure doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
A question from Nathan: is it not taking the field goals hurting the offense confidence and rhythm?
Yeah,
the drive was 0 instead of something.
I think it does make you press a little bit. And CJ, I think too, like, yes, the Texas defense is really good. I think this can be an elite defense, but I've seen seasons before where the offense couldn't bust a grape and you put so much pressure on the defense that inevitably there is going to be a game on the schedule where they don't play an A game. Maybe they play a C+ game. And is that going to be the game where not taking the points actually ends up costing you the game? So I just think Sark has to take a long look in the mirror and decide, you know what? I know what my identity has been, but to maximize what this team can be, at least right now in the interim, just may need to change some things up. You can go back to it later if things work out, but for right now, you may need to change some stuff.
Yeah, this was a really good question. Is our defense really good enough to hold every SEC opponent under 20 points, at least for the first half of the schedule, until our O presumably finds a groovy enough to score 24 to 27 points a game? I think that's a fair question, honestly, because, I mean, you saw it in – are you laughing at groovy? Are you laughing?
No, I'm laughing at what I'm about to say and how the chat's about to perceive it. Sorry.
Oh, boy. Okay, but, yeah, anyways, it's I feel like that's a fair question because UTEP, obviously, they held – defense performed very well, and then Sark even said it himself. They performed well for 3.5 quarters. And – kind of let up there at the end. You can't do that in SEC play and not expect to lose a close game. So I think it's a very fair question.
Yeah.
They can. Yeah, go ahead, CJ. Sorry.
I was going to say, Matthew, can you pull up the Texas schedule real quick? Whenever we get to SEC play, look, it's pretty fortunate right now that Georgia just walked into Neyland, dropped 40, right? Arkansas has the highest scoring offense and points per drive in the entire country right now. A&M just dropped 40 in South Bend.
Our schedule was so easy. The SEC gifted it to us.
Yeah,
Don't you remember?
yes, and that's why I'm saying it's fortunate for Texas that those are all the last 3 weeks of the year, right? And so to the question, can Texas get to a point where, hey, you only need 20 points and you should be able to skate through? Maybe not skate through is the right word, but with the way that Florida's playing, I think we could all step outside on Saturday, on October 4th, and come away with an interception of DJ Lagway. I think. Well, I know Oklahoma's not scoring under 20 points. That team is too dynamic, and I'll save the Mateer conversations. I'll save it this time. But yeah, up until maybe November, you should be able to rely on your defense. Now, is that enough time for Arch to come back around? We'll see, because I do think Vanderbilt is a team that's sneaky good. We've seen Mississippi State already beat a playoff team from a year ago. So yeah, it's a little bit more difficult, but you get that luxury of a team in Florida that probably is coming in at 1-4 with a quarterback who, just like Arch, has zero confidence. So it should be defensive led. And I do hope, Jeff, going back to that conversation about the points, Sark takes points, because you know why? What that does to a quarterback? I did my job. That's a win. That's a good drive. We put points on the board. And if that kicker misses the kick, well, hell, it's not my fault. I put us in a position to score points. That's not on me. Whereas if Texas goes for it, they go for a knockout blow early on, or they try to get uber aggressive, and evidently they don't get every fourth down. What does that do? Well, quarterback missed the read, quarterback overthrew, quarterback throws an interception. It just compounds, right? It piles up on the quarterback. And we talk about having that mental game going on for a quarterback. Sark talked about it on Monday. We don't need to be beating ourselves up. Well, if that's the case, Sark, help your quarterback out, right? You're supposed to be helping build, not just on the field, but mentally in between the ears for Arch. I'd love to see some field goals. I understand you probably don't need the field goals. You don't need to make these field goals. You don't need to go 100% on fourth down to beat Sam Houston. But for your quarterback's sake, I think he'd like to sit there and say, we did a good job on that drive. Good job, team. High fives around the offensive line. We can go tap helmets with Ryan Wingo and Parker Livingston. We did our job. We put points on the board, rather than what they end up doing this past weekend. 3 touchdowns on 15 drives, 16 drives. No one's gaining confidence on that. You're doing yourself a disservice there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been on that train for a while, and I feel like a lot of people are like, no, you got to go for the points on a lot of these drives. And some of the games, or the Georgia game last year, if you didn't go for it and you took the points, that's a one game instead of a lost game. So that's kind of my mindset on it as well. But we'll hear from one more of our sponsors. Make sure you get in your questions. The super chats will jump to the top of our list. But before we get to our next topic, let's hear from Duck Camp. Jeff, take it away.
Heck yeah, Duck Camp makes gear for folks who live for being out there, whether that's in a duck blind at sunrise or on the 40 acres for a Saturday kickoff board. And right here in Austin, Duck Camp builds best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel that works just as well for a full day in the field as it does for a long day of tailgating. From sun protection shirts that keep you cool and dry during those early season scorchers to their iconic game series hats that feel like instant classics, Duck Camp gear is ready for football season, hunting season, and every season in between. Get out there, stay out there, and hook 'em. Shop duckcamp.com today. And for On Texas football listeners, they got a discount code. Save up to 25% on your Duck Camp purchases using the promo code ONTexas25. That's a promo code ONTexas25. Use that when you shop at duckcamp.com.
All right, we got to hear some from one of these quarterbacks. Oh, what is this? The powderpuff coach of all time. Did y'all win? That's my question.
No.
Oh, well, then I guess you're not taking Sark's job anytime soon.
Well, that's not on me. My girls were soccer girls. No disrespect.
Excuse
Amanda.
you.
No disrespect. But when you go up against girls that only play softball, they know how to throw and catch, man. I mean,
I knew how to throw the ball. I can throw a perfect spiral. Thank you very much.
I can't make a chicken salad with,
I mean,
bad ingredients.
You have some kickers though, so they can get the field goals. They can get the extra points.
They did not play with confidence. I did not do a good job of instilling confidence in my team.
I mean,
it's a dang coaching mistake.
Yeah, you won't be taking over anybody's job anytime soon. Anyways, so we heard from a dude that needs confidence. Never say the phrase macros. Yeah, maybe avoid that one.
Thank you.
So we heard from one of the guys that needs a little confidence, and he had a friend, moral support friend in his interview. Arch and Taft did a joint interview. Was this yesterday that they did this or today?
This was Monday.
Monday. So they talked a little bit about the adversity that they've faced through these first couple of games.
Awesome. Running back that some of the guy behind CJ and Craig, kind of how they performed this past week.
Yeah, we've got a lot of good players. Looking forward to seeing them more this week. Christian, Jarek, and James. So got a good group.
Arch, in your playing career, is this the first time you're facing this type of adversity? In terms of your football?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know the type of player I am. I know I'm going to play better, and we're going to be better as an offense, so I'm excited to get going.
Arch, after the game, some of your mechanics, it was almost like it's kind of a golf swing that's not just completely smooth.
Yeah.
When you see yourself on film and your mechanics, what's your self-critique?
Yeah, I think it's more just like getting back to flushing, like, you're like flushing a 60-degree.
He can flush a 60.
Yeah, I'm a good chipper, so I just got to get back to doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna come. I'm not worried. So just gotta get back to playing my game.
Do y'all think his golf swing has gotten in the way of his mechanics for his throwing arm? Has he been playing too much golf?
I would hope not. I'd hope QB1's not playing too much golf. I just think at this point it's beyond mechanics. Like it's not. We're not talking about like, oh, you need to step into the throw, quit throwing off your back foot. Like, when you CJ, you mentioned we talked about the deep ball a little bit ago, right? And finding Parker Livingston. That post route was there against UTEP. Arch just sailed the throw.
Yeah,
the rub concept in the red zone to Ryan Wingo on the wheel route was there. It was schemed open. It was executed. Arch just missed the throw. So it's not a mechanics issue. I think confidence can bleed into mechanics, but I think the root of it is he's got to find something he can feel good about. Like he's got to have. That's why I don't want to make too much of the first drive of the game or the first possession on Saturday for the offense, but it would be really nice if the offense took that ball down and went and scored. Like
you might be asking for too much there, Jeff.
Hey, I know, and you've gone over the numbers, but like I refuse to believe. And look, maybe this is me being naive, right? I refuse to believe that Arch Manning is that bad of a quarterback.
I'm kind of on the same boat there. I think I'm like, I have one of my very good friends, Peyton Yeager. She's in my ear all week. We're terrible. I'm just kind of completely throwing it out. And I'm like, Arch isn't this bad. I refuse to believe Arch is this bad. It just doesn't make sense when you watch last season, and maybe I'll be wrong and somebody will clip this and be like, you were very wrong. Look at you. Arch got pulled and sat, and now Matthew Caldwell's your quarterback, which I really hope is not the case. But at the same time, it looks like he has a Simone Biles level yips to me. That is what this looks like. It looks like he's afraid he's going to bonk his head on the beam. Like it's every time he throws a ball. It just doesn't look normal to me. So, but anyways, speaking of what we want them to do on the first drive and what we consider a success, Billy, thank you so much for your question. What does a successful offense look like? In my opinion, at least 3 run and 5 pass explosive plays. Your thoughts? I think for me, you definitely need to see some more explosive plays next week. Maybe I missed. I didn't see anything that I considered super explosive this weekend. I feel like that's something that you have to see at the end of this game, especially considering all of their stats.
Yeah, this is the offense to get right. This is the offense or the defense, to go out there and get that confidence going. So yeah, the explosives probably need to be even higher than that. It was pretty interesting looking back on the game Saturday. You had 7 runs that went for 10 plus yards. It's pretty good, right? It takes 7 yards or 7 attempts for more than 10 yards. Well, and you look back and 4 of those come from the quarterback, it's not as good. You run the ball 56 times. Okay, now it gets a little uglier, right? It's a little bit more bleak. And then you go watch the tape and you see offensive linemen go in the wrong direction. You see tight ends pulling into each other. You see, there's one play specifically in the third quarter where these guys just fell over each other like Lincoln logs, right? And it's sitting there saying, how does this happen against UTEP, right? So the more that you dug into the numbers, the more that you dug into the tape, the uglier it got a week ago. And again, that shouldn't be the case. The more reps that you get, the better the product on the field should be. So that's why this upcoming weekend is huge, because you get that confidence going into a bye week in which you can parlay that into a strong performance on the road against Florida, a team that's more likely than not going to be down and out based off of their first month of football as well. So it's got to be better, right, Billy? I'm with you. Three run plays, 5 explosives. That should be the bare minimum in any game Texas plays, to be completely honest. And right now we're looking at Sam Houston State saying, well, maybe we can scratch those numbers this weekend. So
yeah, Florida gets to play Miami before they play us. So it's
Heisman front runner Carson Beck.
Hey, don't look now, man. Miami actually looks like a well-coached football team under Mario Cristobal, which I knew the Jimmy Johnson disciple of Mario Cristobal was going to come out at some point. Like, in Miami was not going to look like they were being held back by their coach who refuses to kneel the ball late in games when he's got a lead. But yeah, Miami does look like a well-coached team. Sorry, Matthew, behind the scenes. I know that's going to aggravate you. But look, what does a successful drive look like to me? This is what I want to see on Saturday. And maybe I'm raising the bar too much. Every drive the offense has, unless you're kneeling the ball at the end of the game, you're in the victory formation. Every drive ends with a kick. Either Mason Shipley's either kicking a field goal or a PAT, or it's a Jack Bowmeister punt. End every drive with a kick. That's what I want to see.
I think that's pretty straightforward. All right, we'll get to some more of your questions in just a second. Get those in. Once again, Super Chats do jump to the top of our list. But first, we're going to hear from our friends over at Mark Saunders Allstate. When it comes to protecting all your stuff, wouldn't it be great to have one place that protects it all? Here's some good news. Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders, serving the Austin and Round Rock area and all of Texas, is the only insurance agent you need. Everything from your home, car, and boat to your motorcycle, RV, and ATV. Call Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders' office today at 512-218-8571. Are you in good hands? With more than 35 years of experience, you will be with Texas alum Mark Saunders. If you're looking for someone local to the Austin Round Rock area and all of Texas, give him a call at 512-218-8571. So, question from Terrence here for me. Do you think this is a week Arch gets his full confidence back if you think he's lost it? Thank you so much, Terrence. I think he has to. I think this has to be the week he gets his confidence back, because otherwise he's going to have to get his confidence back in the swamp, which is a much more difficult, despite what DJ Lagway looks like. Their defense is not a Sam Houston State defense. This week, he has to get his confidence back, or I will be pressing the panic button. I will be concerned. I've already changed my prediction for the end of season score, but I will be dropping it down to probably close to 2022 level.
Ooh.
It's going to get dark if this is not the game that he does not get his confidence back, because I will just not be convinced that it's going to come in an environment like Florida. And you can say what you want about what DJ Lagway looks like now, but it's still at the swamp. Texas OU, we all know what that environment is like. We all know what momentum does in that game. You have to go into that game with confidence if you want to have success. What do you guys think about that?
If you want to talk about, or for better or worse, when things can spiral or things can build, there's no better example of that happening than in the OU game. I mean, and I've seen good Texas quarterbacks where it gets away from you, and not only do you not get it back, it just keeps getting worse the more you try. Yeah. So yeah, that's not a game where you want to be fighting. Look, what I would tell Arch is this, and I know Arch Manning isn't going to listen to me or watch this, and that's fine, but I want to speak to QB1 if I can. More often than not, when you're pressing and you're trying to be perfect, at some point it becomes, I don't want to screw up. I don't want to screw up. You're envisioning like the worst case scenario happening. Arch, the worst case scenario already has happened. The UTEP game again was one of the worst Texas quarterback performances I've seen in a very long time. So you've already hit bottom, man. There's nowhere to go but up. You have been booed in a home game, a non-conference home game. You were booed taking the offense onto the field. It doesn't get much lower than that. So you've already gone to hell. Now come out on the other side of it. You're almost there. When you're going through hell, don't stop. Just keep going. Eventually you'll be through it. If he just keeps going and gets through it, he'll be fine. But like, there's no need to worry about the worst case scenario because it's already happened. And you might as well just take these 3 games. CJ, I'm going to do the thing that I love doing. Like, take just 3 VHS tapes and write the name of the game on them, stick them in the trash can, get you some lighter fluid, and set them on fire. They don't mean anything now. Start anew on Saturday. This week starts anew. You've already had the bottom's already fallen out. Go start something new.
Yeah, I think that's what you got to do. Until you get to a point where you're now stacking plays, you're stacking film, you're stacking confidence. You have to, because you're starting from scratch right now. So, yeah, Jeff, I'm with you. And to go back to the point, I've brought this stat up a few times now since the beginning of 2023. When Texas scores 21 points, that's just it, 21 points. They are 25-2. When they score 20 or fewer, they're 2-4. If you need to turn into, and I half joked about it on Twitter after the game, saying I didn't expect Texas's offense to turn into Michigan State's, and I didn't expect Arch Mannion to turn into Brian Lewerke, because Brian Lewerke, one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. I'm sorry to Brian if he's watching this evening, but that's kind of what it felt like. It was like 12 personnel, run for 3, run for 2, run for -1, punt. Incomplete, punt, right? There's no flow. There's no rhythm. There's no identity of the Texas offense, and it takes me back to some Brian Lewerke days at Michigan State. But Michigan State ended up winning a lot of football games. And you know why? They didn't let their offense beat them. They kicked after every possession. They didn't turn the ball over. They played great defense. And if that's the identity that you need to adopt to win football games in 2025, well, Sark's got to throw away the pride. Arch Manning has to become a handoff merchant, right? That's what you have to do. That offensive line has to get right up front, and you got to ride the wave of the strength of your team, and that's your defense. And right now it's Jack Bomeister, right? So that's what I'm looking at. Can you score 21? Can you score 24? Can you get in the mid-20s? Because I see very little teams in the entire country that will be able to score that same amount of points against this Texas defense if they need to go a full length of the field. So,
you think your powderpuff quarterback could compete with Arch at this point?
My quarterback was throwing with the wrong hand.
It's hard for us soccer players sometimes. I mean, I was left-footed and I am right-handed, so she could have gotten confused. You can forgive her.
Yeah, look, I just go back to like Arch Manning has nothing to lose at this point. You're not getting back in the Heisman race. You've already lost the game. You're not number 1 in the country anymore. Like 99% of the country is laughing at you already. Like it's about as bad as it's ever going to get. What do you have to lose?
You
got
to
lose.
It's like when you give a big speech in class. And, you got a big presentation. You're all tense and tight, and someone just goes, "Hey man, take a swig," and you got some Lucy juice in there. It's like, you need that. And then you get up there and you got the giggles, you got the jokes, you got that personality. It's like, okay, maybe you just need that, right? You just need something to feel loose up there.
Yeah, just go hand him a little swig of something before the next game.
Some Gingham's bourbon. Why not?
Or
Rogue Shop.
Shout out Rogue Shop.
Yeah.
Worth the shot. Tyler, thanks so much for your question. Mississippi State, he threw 70 to 85%, not these fastballs every throw. He did have a couple bullets during Mississippi State. I just watched back those highlights and cried a little bit. But he also had a lot of long shots, Mississippi State, like the one where he had the player, he was throwing as he hit and he threw it long, and DeAndre Moore tiptoed into the end zone. He had more plays like that. And I mean, he was just playing more confident. I think that's the biggest thing. He was just playing more confident. He wasn't getting in his head.
Marco Mendez brings something up, and this is, I'm not saying Arch is getting back in the Heisman race, but take this ride with me. Marco says Arch needs a visit from Ricky Williams. Now, in all seriousness, go back to Ricky's Heisman season. They start 1-2. That second loss, they went on the road to Kansas State, and I mean, that was a really good K-State team that year. The K-State team that was undefeated until they lost to A&M in the Big 12 championship game. And Texas got their heads kicked in. Like, it was Major Applewhite's first career start. It was on the road. I think it was like 49-7 or 48-7. And Ricky had I think less than 50 yards. It was terrible. And when he got back to the facility, when they got back to Austin that night, he didn't go to the facility and watch film. He didn't go in the weight room. He went to Blockbuster Video. Google it, kids, if you don't know what it is. Went back to his apartment and watched Blazing Saddles and just had a good laugh and just completely got away from football. And I honestly hope that's what Arch did at some point. Don't watch the film. Don't don't go over your, whatever paperwork you've got to go through post game. Like CJ, I know you wrote about it over on TexasFootball.com. Like he and Sark had a meeting Sunday morning. But at some point, man, just get away from football. Just go. Don't watch any NFL games. Do something that completely has nothing to do with you being the quarterback in Texas.
Yeah.
Go
pull up that 60 degree, Jeff.
What?
Go pull up the 60 degree. Let's see how you're swinging.
Hey, man, go hit Topgolf, whatever, just something to just get your mind away from football.
Yeah,
just not thinking about the game.
It is funny you bring up Blazing Saddles. That's it's number 3 on the list right there. Movies I've got to watch.
I also have not seen it, as somebody called out. CJ also hasn't seen it, Paxton. So.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Coach Shipley and Rod Babers get on me all the time. They brought up Training Day, No Country for Old Men. I told me, whenever we start traveling for all these road games, I'll get going on them.
Haven't done it. Well, you haven't traveled for many road games yet, so you have
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You could make Blazing Saddles today. You could make it, but you'd probably anger a pretty decent chunk of the population.
Common CJL. Unfortunately, at least mine are rare these days. All right, we're going to go ahead and hear from our. Have you seen Gladiator, CJ? I guess I haven't seen any of these either. I'm not a movie.
Yeah, y'all are making me feel older than I already am. Gladiator, another great movie.
I've seen Harry Potter, all of them.
Listen, man, I've just been grinding tape. I've got my nose in the pad of the playbook. I don't got time for movies.
I think I was 16 when Gladiator came out. So yeah,
what year was that?
2000.
Okay, I was in kindergarten. Okay, we can get to our. Appreciate that. Sorry. Hey, CJ was even younger. What were you, 1?
What year?
2000.
I was 3.
Okay, pretty close. Okay, I guess this is going on our list. Anyways, let's hear from our sponsor over at My Perfect Franchise one more time, and then we can get to some more of your questions. Stuck in the corporate rat race with 2 weeks of PTO and no control over the money you can make or your schedule in general? Call Andy at myperfectfranchise.net. He will take you through a process to identify a business that will fit not only your financial goals, but also your skill set. Franchise ownership isn't for everyone, but if you have a desire to take control of your destiny, call Andy or email him at andy@myperfectfranchise.net. So get in your questions while you can. Once again, super chats jump to the top of our list. One interesting one here about probably the next test on the Texas schedule as far as a challenging game goes. Does Sark pull Arch if he starts out struggling against Florida? My take is no. I think we saw this with Quinn last year, and it took a whole hell of a lot before Quinn got pulled.
Think about this. Sark did not pull Quinn. There were a couple games in that 22 season. Let's leave the Georgia game last year. Put that off to the side. There were a couple games in that 22 season, the Oklahoma State game being one and the TCU game at home, where Sark had every reason in the world to pull Quinn because you had a capable backup in Hudson Card. Hudson Card had some skins on the wall. It actually shown he could play at that level, and he didn't do it. I think once Sark has invested in a quarterback, invested his time, energy, effort into building his offense around this guy, I think he's going to give Arch every opportunity unless it just gets so bad that it is just like painfully obvious on a level that even the most rudimentary football fan will be able to be like, yeah, you probably need to pull your quarterback.
Yeah,
Until that happens, I mean, we can talk about it, but I don't think it's going to do any good because I don't think it's going to happen. And by the way, right now, I'm not for it. When you're talking about a quarterback with confidence issues, the worst thing you can do is bench him. So Sark's been doing this a lot longer than I have. I trust that Sark knows what he's doing with his quarterbacks. It worked with Quinn. I don't, maybe Matthew Caldwell gives you a spark, but you're not reaching your ceiling. You may not reach it with Arch, but you're not reaching your ceiling with Matthew Caldwell. All due respect to Matthew Caldwell. Like, whatever this team's ceiling is going to be, it's going to be with Arch Manning at quarterback.
I agree.
Yeah, I think we just have a precedent on that I don't think he's pulling Arch, especially against Florida. I mean, you can maybe have that conversation later in the season against a Georgia, maybe against an OU if he's gotten exceptionally rattled and just how that game goes. But I think that's a big stretch.
It's the message too, Amanda. I'm sorry. It's the message too that it sends to the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm a player on the team, how can I have faith in QB1 when the head coach, who's also the play caller, doesn't have faith in QB1? So that, again, to me, I may be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right, but that to me is completely off the table right now.
Yeah, especially hope you don't pull your quarterback against Sam Houston State. That would be really sad. Thank you so much for your question, Scott. Trey Wisner missing is a bigger deal than people think. He's the only back we have that's a game changer. Watch the difference when he's back. Do you guys agree here?
I think there's a validity to it. I think Trey Wisner is your best running back.
Mm-hmm.
I do. And that's with everybody healthy. There's just a different ability for him to get out of tough situations, to reverse field. He's it's going to sound like I'm a hater here, but I'm not. I love Trey Wisner, and I love his game. And it's interesting to say this because he's not exceptional at one individual trait, right? He doesn't have 4.3 speed. He's not 220 pounds. He's, not necessarily a big dude. And again, it sounds weird to say, but he gets kind of squirmish in the hole, right? He's a guy that runs between the tackles and finds a way to peeks out of the other side without ever really, making it look natural or something that you can repeat often. And I think Scott says it best. He's a slippery back. He falls forward. He has that same ability to make the first guy miss, maintain balance, and fall forward. And that's something that I thought Roschon Johnson was tremendous at. Bijan, obviously an alien. And, that's where I think you see the difference between Roschon, who's 6'2", 220, right? And Bijan, who's an alien. And I'm putting them in the same category as Trey Wisner because their games are very similar, yet, when you line them up pound for pound, they're probably not very comparable at all. But that's the testament to Trey. He's a tough-nosed football player, and he makes things happen, right? I would have been completely shocked if you told me going into Ohio State that he would have had 80 yards. Based off of what we saw last year, and also that's kind of why I'm so surprised that the running game has been so bad since then. But I think Trey's your best running back. So, yes, Scott, I think that's absolutely – a very reasonable take.
Yeah, CJ, you the way you described him right there, it kind of reminds me of Keontae Ingram. Like, Keontae Ingram was a draft pick, and even though he did it coming out of USC after transferring, still an NFL running back. Like, you can look at Keontae Ingram, like there's maybe no elite trait, but you add it all up, there's nothing he's like horrifically deficient in either. And you start to add all that up, man, there's a lot of running backs that don't have one necessarily elite trait, but they're just above average to good at just about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think this Texas offense is sorely missing Trey Wisner right now, just the explosiveness. And I mean, you have CJ Baxter before he was injured and he was doing well, but at the same time, it's just different. It's an offense. It's an offensive player, at this point, especially with Arch. He's never played with CJ Baxter prior to the season at this point. A couple more questions here. Y'all make sure
commodities, Amanda. Proven commodities. That's what
yes,
you mean.
that's the term I was looking for there.
Like DeAndre Moore even more so than Weiser. Because dude, I going back and watching the UTEP game, like I love what James Simon did. Like maximizing runs, like that's what you need right now. You need a guy that when your offensive line's still trying to figure it out, you need somebody that can maximize runs, be a pile pusher, a guy that can fall forward. DeAndre Moore is a proven commodity, and getting him back should help this passing game a whole heck of a lot. So I'm not saying, Arch is going to suddenly throw for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns, but it'll be a lot better. We're talking about, hey, who's wide receiver 1, who's wide receiver 2? I don't know if he's 1, he's 2, whatever, but you're a better offense with DeAndre Moore on the field.
This is an interesting question from Tennessee Longhorn. Who's a first-round pick on this offense that might be the difference from last year and this year? And I think that's a very, very valid question because, this offense did lose a good bit to the draft from last year to this year.
Who's a first-round pick on this offense?
Yeah. Or even just going to the draft next year.
No one. Very confidently nobody.
But I thought Arch was going to the draft, according to everybody in the preseason.
Shoot, I don't think anybody is put him in mock drafts after the first 3 weeks. Gooseby played well. He still had a couple holding penalties. He's got room for development, and that makes sense, right? Cam Williams was never a finished product a year ago. You play year 1 or your first real extended time as a left tackle in the SEC, you're going to have growing pains. And look, Kelvin Banks is, the exception. He's not the rule. It's a tough position to play regardless of who you're playing against. And Trevor's going to improve. He's probably the most pro-ready player right now on this offense. I think Jack Injuries is probably in that conversation as well. But you don't have a first-round talent on this offense, not even close. The talent, I think, I vastly overestimated what this talent would look like coming into the season. I
think you and everybody else, so don't feel too bad.
I just want to say, Jason Horn for life with the Keith Sweat reference in the chat. You win poster, viewer of the night. I don't have a trophy or an award for you, but you get a gold star, an A for effort. So thank you for your service, sir.
On that same note, do we not have the kind of talent on offense despite the high-rated classes? I think for me, the difference is the youth of this offense. A lot of it's the youth. Because, Quinn wasn't who he was his first year as a starting quarterback, and you can say that for just about every. There are people calling for X to transfer, and it's the youth. It's a younger.
Yeah,
team.
I forgot about that part of it.
Yeah,
yeah,
that was
we
great.
were there at one point.
Yeah, inexperience certainly is part of it. I'd also, can we not get just a rep of Khalil Lockett out wide saying just go deep, just throw a fade ball up, see if you can make a play on it. Can we not get Jamie French on, an out route or a sail route or something? We have talent. Texas has talent, but we're not seeing it.
Yeah, and Scott Sturgeon asked a valid question or makes a valid statement. Sark misjudged the talent. I don't know if it's misjudged the talent as much as maybe misjudged how ready the talent would be early on. And again, rewind our conversation for the last 10 minutes. We just talked about how important Trey Wisner is to this offense and how important DeAndre Moore is to this offense. You haven't had those guys on the field healthy since the Ohio State game together at the same time. So that's 2 really big pieces of this offense. So, and CJ, I'm going to start referring to Emmett Mosley, at least in pads, as Sasquatch. I've heard about him. He allegedly exists, but we ain't seen it yet. So maybe we see Emmett Mosley at some point. I want to, and that's why, I wrote over the weekend, my immediate thoughts after the game was, man, the offense isn't broken, but Texas is bad right now. That's why I can't say it's broken, because we haven't seen what this offense looks like with all the pieces on the field. And look, they may get all the pieces on the field, and it may still be slipping gears and not up to snuff. But I at least want to see what it looks like when all the pieces are there before I decide this offense is just absolute garbage and has no hope to turn the corner.
I think that's where I stand as well, as far as just, I mean, you said it, you haven't had the biggest of playmakers on the field all together since Ohio State. And I mean, I feel like, can't remember what game it was going into. I think it was going into San Jose State. Somebody said, "Oh, Texas is doing pretty good injury wise." Said, "Knock on wood right now," and then look where we are. Somebody didn't knock on wood hard enough. Blake asked, "How is Stroh starting?"
Sark talked about it on Monday. He had a great week of practice. Felt like he deserved to have all the reps in the game on Saturday. On top of that, also believes that they are trying to build some continuity. I think it speaks a little bit more to the guys who are not starting.
Yeah,
right now.
I would say so.
I think it's as simple as that.
Yes, I mean, and plus the continuity piece, that position is different than the others because at some point you kind of do have to make a determination and go with it. I mean, look, somebody has asked in the chat already about Nick Brooks. Like, look, Kyle Flood's, with the exception of maybe like one spot since he and Sark have been here, they've never just rotated offensive linemen, at all, really. So they haven't done it yet. I'm not surprised that they haven't done it to this point, and I wouldn't expect it to happen unless there's multiple injuries and you got to shuffle some things around. And at that point, you got to figure out if some of these young guys can play or not. But knock on wood, I hope that doesn't happen. But if it does happen, then I think that's the only way you're going to get to see some of these guys and log significant snaps.
All right. Well, that's about all we have time for. Hopefully when we're talking this time next week, we're a little bit more positive going into the bye week. I unfortunately actually won't even be able to watch this weekend's game because it will be 3 a.m. my time. I will be in France.
Go get a Red Bull.
I mean, I'm thinking about it. I don't know if my boyfriend will approve of me watching a football game at 3 a.m. while we're on vacation, but I will be watching it the next day laying on the beach. So hopefully it'll be a fun watch. I'll try not to catch any spoilers. But thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll be back here tomorrow talking a little bit more about what we're going to see this weekend with Sam Houston State on the radar. Make sure you tune in to Coffee and Football early in the morning. And for CJ Vogel and for Jeff Howell, I'm Amanda Atwell. Have a great night and hook 'em horns.